From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from the channel's television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun. Hello and welcome. Tonight, Independent National Electoral Commission says it has nothing to hide as the electoral umpire meets with the legal team of the Labour Party presidential candidate to finalize modalities for inspection of presidential election materials. Leadership of the All Progressives Congress meets with senators-elect and members of the House of Representatives-elect on the party's platform ahead of the governorship and state assembly elections. Appeal Court reserves judgment in Osun State governorship appeal filed by Governor Ademola Adeleke against the tribunal judgment which invalidated his election. And Ukraine and Russia report inflicting heavy losses as the battle for Bakhmut rages on.
And on business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria clears the air, says 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes are now a legal tender in the country.
And on sports news tonight, organizers offer Novak Djokovic a wildcard to compete in an ATP Challenger Tour event in San Remo if he misses the Miami Open.
And from the nation's capital, federal government says President Muhammadu Buhari did not ask the Attorney General and the Central Bank Governor to defy the Supreme Court order on Naira redesign.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukraine and Russia inflicting heavy losses.
We begin from the courts. The legal team of the Labour Party presidential candidate has met with the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to commence the inspection of electoral materials used for the February 25th presidential election. The head of the legal team, Mr. Levi Uzoku, led a team of 60 lawyers to the Commission's headquarters to discuss modalities for obtaining the documents. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, however, assured the team of the Commission's cooperation, saying the electoral umpire has nothing to hide.
This is the first time the legal team of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party is meeting with the leadership of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Lawyers are here to commence the process of inspecting electoral materials that were used during the last presidential election, as ordered by the Court of Appeal.
As I talk to you today, we've not gotten any document whatsoever. And it is important that under the law, we are entitled to the documents we are asking for from the Commission. And unless, as electoral umpire, we secure those documents, we cannot move forward. That is why it is so important that we interface with you and ensure that by the time we leave this commission today, Mr. Chairman, we will at least leave here with some of the crucial documents.
The INEC chairman assures the legal team of his full cooperation, maintaining that the commission has nothing to hide.
I want to assure you that the commission will not hide any document from anybody and will make any document that you have requested. There are two categories of documents. Those that are in possession of the headquarters of INEC will easily make these documents available to you. As for other documents that we are asking for, they are at state level. So we need to work out the schedule so that we know when your team is going to which state and on which date, so that we can easily facilitate not just certification of documents, but also the inspection that you requested for of these documents.
INEC is still inspecting some of the materials from the state. However, the party is commencing the inspection of the available materials immediately.
Some documents will come from the state level, but we do not think it will take eternity for those documents to come. Meanwhile, there are those that are domiciled here at the headquarters. Those ones we can go away with today.
The Court of Appeal had ordered INEC last week to allow the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, to have access to sensitive materials used for the presidential election, a request the Labour Party says it needs to prosecute its case at the Presidential Elections Tribunal.
Staying with the courts, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has reserved judgment in an appeal filed by Governor Ademola Adeleke of the People's Democratic Party, challenging the judgment of the Osun State Election Petition Tribunal, which nullified his victory. A three-member panel led by Justice Mohammed Shoaibu said the judgment will be delivered at a later date after taking arguments of all parties in the suit. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared Governor Adeleke as winner of the election held on July the 16th, 2022.
This courtroom at the Court of Appeal Abuja Division is filled with lawyers and supporters of the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Congress, who are here to witness the appeal filed by Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State, challenging the judgment of the Election Petition Tribunal, which nullified his election. Arguing his appeal, counsel to Governor Adeleke, Mr. Onyechi Ikpeazu, informs the court that a member of the Election Petition Tribunal, who is also a chief magistrate, did not air her opinion during the delivery of the judgment. Rather, she only appended her signature, and the Constitution mandates her to have aired her views about the suit. However, the counsel to former Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, argues that signing of the judgment and not making any comment afterwards does not invalidate the judgment. He insists that the judgment was duly delivered in favor of his client. Mr. Fagbemi had also challenged that findings from the back-end server of the Independent National Electoral Commission showed that overvoting took place in 749 polling units. In his defense, Mr. Ikpeazu held that results stored in the back-end server are inconsistent and unreliable, as they cannot be affected by internet connectivity and the battery life of the beavers used to upload the result. He adds that these two factors can affect the upload of results. He also pointed out that he conducted a physical examination on the beavers, and it showed that overvoting occurred in just 6 polling units and not 749 as claimed by Mr. Oyetola. On the cross-appeal filed by Mr. Oyetola challenging the document of Mr. Adeleke, the court held that it had been addressed in a previous judgment and it was an anomaly.
On the issue of the alleged forgery of a testimonial, which saw Osun State appearing on a testimonial for a person who had been educated before the creation of Osun State, the Court of Appeal held in that case that it was a simple error, that he ought to have gone back to rectify the anomaly, but not having done that, that it wasn't an issue of forgery.
I can only tell you that everything has gone well for both sides. All the appeals, including the cross appeals, have been heard, and we're all in court when the court adjourned the matter to a date to be communicated to all of us. For judgment.
INEC insists that there was no overvoting during the Osun election.
If you get a citizen from INEC, you need to go back and confirm whether there has been any change before you run to tribunal. So they didn't do that. They prematurely just took one CTC and ran to the tribunal and made the major mistakes. Now they were able to convince the tribunal, but the Court of Appeal will be wiser.
The three-man panel will now consider the arguments and deliver judgment on the 4 appeals at a later date, which will be communicated to the parties involved in the case.
The leadership of the All Progressives Congress has today met with senators-elect and representatives-elect on the party's platform ahead of the governorship and state assembly elections. According to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, the inaugural parley at the behest of the President-elect Senator Bola Tinubu was convened to exchange handshakes over the recently concluded elections and charge members to remain focused ahead of the upcoming governorship polls. Speaking to correspondents after the closed-door meeting, the Speaker underscored that the meeting was not hinged on the issue of zoning of presiding officers, but on the party's victory at the polls. Our State House correspondent Gloria Umezoke reports.
Newly elected senators and members of the House of Representatives under the All Progressives Congress, APC, arriving the banquet hall of the State House, barely a week after receiving their certificate of return from the Independent National Electoral Commission in Abuja. It's a meeting convened by the national leadership of the party, and expected at the event is the president-elect, Senator Bola Tinubu, who was conspicuously absent. Nevertheless, the vice president-elect, Senator Kashim Shettima, is cited alongside the APC national chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, President of the Senate, Senator Ahmad Lawan, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Femi Gbadabiamila, as well as other elected members of the National Assembly. No media is allowed to go past the scanners, as the meeting, which is specifically for the 57 APC senators-elect and 162 House of Representatives-elect, commences behind closed doors. Hours after, they emerge from the meeting, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives gives an idea of what the meeting discussed.
The question about zoning was that let's, tarry a while, let's leave everything for now. Until we finish we finish the elections.
Your name has come up for Chief of Staff.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. We're not there yet.
The Africa report 2 days ago. Some returning members of the Senate underscore their expectations.
It is also my hope and prayer that the 10th Senate and indeed the 10th National Assembly as a whole will jealously guard and protect the constitutional provision of separation of powers as enshrined in the presidential system of government.
The Constitution is very clear that the National Assembly members were to select their leaders among themselves. Sometimes, or most of the times, party do domestic arrangement, the party arrangement of looking at how it's going to look like, and most of the time it's being respected. And we believe at the same time, this time will not be different.
This parley has been considered very fundamental to the relationship between the two arms as the incoming administration looks to form a government of national unity. The party is for now defocusing on the subject of zoning, and expectations are that these meetings will be held ostensibly to align interests as they try to avoid the pitfalls of the 8th Assembly. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Kalibaba, has asked commissioners of police to hand over the case files of electoral offences to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for prosecution. The force spokesman in a statement says the Inspector General has asked Nigerians to collaborate with the police to ensure a hitch-free security architecture. According to the statement, the Inspector General also directs commissioners of police in charge of state commands to ensure that investigations in all cases of violations against the 2022 Electoral Act during the February 25, 2023 presidential and National Assembly electioneering process are swiftly concluded and the case files forwarded to the Independent National Electoral Commission for prosecution. A human rights lawyer, Femi Falana, has condemned the use of ethnicity and religion for campaign by politicians, asking the police to protect the right of all citizens to live in any part of the country. The senior advocate of Nigeria, in a statement, notes that voters were subjected to degrading treatment in some states for voting for candidates of their choice during the presidential and National Assembly elections. Meanwhile, the senior advocate is also asking authorities to immediately prosecute all electoral offenders in the February 25th presidential election before the governorship poll. He was speaking on our program, Politics Today.
INEC said, with respect on a review of the presidential National Assembly election, that we painstakingly made plans to conduct the election. However, the implementation had some challenges. For me, I think that is admission on the part of INEC that all did not go down well. And that is why, for me, it is not enough to review the last election without putting on trial those who have been arrested for various electoral malpractices. So it's not sufficient to say, oh, we have learned our lessons. We now want to have the governorship and House of Assembly elections conducted on the 18th of March. No, that will not be enough, because if you do not arraign those who have been arrested for electoral offenses, you are simply telling them.
In part two, after the break, federal government says President Muhammadu Buhari did not ask the Attorney General and the Central Bank Governor to defy the Supreme Court order on Naira redesign. Please join us again.
OVMA.
Oh, I wish you were here.
I'm always with you.
But it's not the same without you.
MTN 5G's amazing technology will change how we experience life and the internet. Get ready to encounter the incredible. And remember, no be juju, na MTN 5G.
Trust does not come cheap. It's a word you can bank on, the efficiency you can trade with. Trust should be what you demand and what every partner should give. In our world of corporate and investment banking, trust is a big word. A word that guides and leads our commitment to your growth and that of your business. Go for growth with your trusted partner.
So you gotta have a smile, no matter what it takes. Gotta take your place now, and love the way it tastes. Do the pure bliss bar, from the toast to your face. Gotta take your place now, feel the bliss today.
Light up your day anywhere, even at home, with the rich, creamy taste of pure bliss.
New Nivea Dry Deodorant. With 72-hour reliable odor protection from Dual Effect formula. For a dry and fresh skin feeling. Feel dry, fresh, and confident every day.
Hey, Charles. It's so hot, Auntie. You'll get used to it.
What's the big deal? It's just a cereal.
Just a cereal? You are talking about something that has helped thousands of Niger farmers provide for their families for decades. This cereal, we have enjoyed it for so long. It's part of our history.
Is that you?
And it's packed with the energy and nutrition that I know my family needs every day. That's why Golden Morn is so special to us. You get it?
Keep enjoying Nigeria's favorite breakfast cereal, fortified with Grain Smart, a special combination of iron and vitamins to help your family make every day golden.
I get it now.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. A reminder of our main stories. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it has nothing to hide as the electoral umpire meets with the legal team of the Labour Party presidential candidate to finalize modalities for inspection of presidential election materials. Leadership of the All Progressives Congress meets with senators-elect and members of the House of Representatives-elect on the party's platform ahead of the governorship and state assembly elections. Appeal Court reserves judgment in Osun State governorship appeal filed by Governor Ademola Adeleke against the tribunal judgment which invalidated his election. Ukraine and Russia report inflicting heavy losses as the battle for Bakhmut rages on. The River State government has faltered a statement credited to the former governor of the state, Mr. Chibuike Amechi, that the state government will in due time return the spoils of war in the state to the Igbos. The assets, which are popularly referred to as abandoned properties, were houses that were left unattended by the Igbo landlords during the Civil War, but were managed and disposed of by the federal military government after the war. The government's position was announced at the end of the State Executive Council meeting in Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
To convey the decision of the River State Executive Council on the resurgence of the delicate issue of abandoned property in the state. The issue, which is deliberately avoided in public conversations in River State, refers to the landed property of the Igbos that were managed by the military government after the Civil War, which the people argue that the lands were forcefully acquired. Speaking at a recent APC stakeholders meeting with the Igbo community in Rivers State ahead of this week's governorship election, the former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi, was quoted to have promised that the property in question will be returned to the Igbos in due time, a comment the state government considers an aberration.
Apparently, Mr. Amechi forgot that he had, as Speaker, several years ago, declared the matter of abandoned property closed. That was several years ago. Therefore, it beats the imagination why the same Amechi will today turn around to promise to revisit the issue of abandoned property just for political reasons.
The government is not only condemning the comment, but stating that the issue being raised has been legally dealt with and cannot be revisited.
It is therefore palpably injurious, if not completely misleading, for anybody to seek to politicize the issue of abandoned property. The matter, as far as we are concerned, is closed, legally closed, and cannot be revisited.
While condemning the comment, the State Council of Traditional Rulers also say it is capable of causing crisis in the state.
Those who wish to attract political patronage to their preferred candidates must not do so at the expense of the people of Rivers State.
It's been over 50 years since the Nigerian Civil War ended, and the Rivers State government and the traditional rulers believe there is no need to destroy the long-standing relationship between the Igbos and the people of the state, which they believe have been cordial.
All right, let's head to the nation's capital where Terry Ikumi is already standing by. Hello, Terry. What do you have for us from Abuja?
First of all, Ayo, good evening. It's nice to see you again. We're still talking politics. The March 18 is another opportunity for Nigerians to determine the composition of the leadership at the state level. However, the presidential election has thrown up several dynamisms that suggest that Nigerians can expect what Nigerians can expect during the state elections. Our correspondent Emperor Simon looks at states across northern Nigeria that could throw up some drama during the state elections.
836 governorship and deputy governorship candidates across 28 states, 10,231 state assembly election contestants, and 18 political parties are in the race for Saturday's state's elections.
They are battling to either maintain control of the states they currently govern or take over states that are in the hands of their opponents. But how easy would this be for political parties, considering that the presidential election threw up many surprises and upsets arising from some unprecedented victories or defeats? Kano State is currently governed by Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of the All Progressives Congress, and his deputy governor, Mr. Nasir Gawuna, is hoping to succeed him. However, the new Nigerian People's Party, which has the former Kano State Governor, Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, as its presidential candidate, is putting up a fight as a result of the presidential and National Assembly elections suggests. The NNPP secured the highest votes for its presidential candidates in Kano and secured 2 senatorial seats and 18 seats in the House of Representatives. Aside from losing the presidential election in the state, the ruling APC secured only 1 seat in the Senate and 5 seats in the House of Representatives. Furthermore, the state assembly is controlled largely by the APC with 30 seats, and the PDP has 10 seats. The new kid on the block, the NNPP, is threatening to change these dynamics in Kano State. In neighboring Kaduna State, Governor Nasir El-Rufai of APC could not prevent the PDP from winning the entire 3 senatorial seats in the state, as the APC also lost 10 House of Representatives seats to the PDP and 2 to the Labour Party. The party secured only 4 seats in the House of Representatives. The competition is now even tougher, with 4 major contenders, namely the APC, PDP, Labour Party and the NNPP, battling for the seat of power at the Sir Kashim Ibrahim House. In Northeast, the competition is stiff in Taraba State, and the ruling PDP wants to maintain its prime position, which has been the case since 1999. However, the defeat of Governor Darius Ishaku of Taraba State in the National Assembly elections is a pointer to what should be expected during the state's elections. He lost to the main rival, the APC. While the Labour Party made some impression in the presidential election in the state, the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, and the Social Democratic Party, SDP, are also pushing for some control in Taraba State. Presently, the PDP controls the state assembly with 19 seats, while the APC has 5 seats. The political atmosphere in Plateau State remains tense after the Labour Party won the presidential election in the state with over 466,000 votes. While the PDP secured 2 senatorial seats and 5 seats in the House of Representatives, Governor Simon Lalong, who is the Director General of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, did not secure the highest vote to get a seat in the Senate. Nasarawa State also presents interesting scenario. The defeat suffered by the ruling APC during the presidential election is casting thick shadow on the prospect of the party in the state elections. Apart from losing the presidential election to the Labour Party, the APC also lost out completely on the 3 senatorial seats, as well as 2 seats in the House of Representatives. The former governor of the state, Mr. Tanko Al-Mukura, lost a senatorial bid to the Social Democratic Party, while the national leader of the APC, Senator Adamu Abdullahi, did not only lose his polling unit, but he also lost his senatorial district to the SDP. The Nasarawa State House of Assembly is currently composed of 24 members across 4 political parties. The APC has 15 members, PDP has 7 members, SDP and the Zenith Labour Party has a member each. There is no doubt that the political landscape of the country has witnessed some significant change, and political parties are hoping to secure more seats during the state's elections. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Away from politics, the presidency has clarified that President Muhammadu Buhari did not direct the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the Governor of the Central Bank, Godwin Emefiele, not to obey the Supreme Court ruling on the Naira redesign policy. Reacting to the public outcry about the failure of the Apex Bank to comply with the ruling, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement says there was no time that the President directed the AGF and the CBN Governor not to obey the ruling. According to him, since the President was sworn into office in 2015, he has never directed anybody to defy court orders. In strong belief that we cannot practice democracy without the rule of law, and the commitment of his administration to this principle has not changed. The statement adds that the President is an absolute respecter of judicial process and the authority of the courts, noting that he has done nothing in the last 8 years to act in a way to obstruct the administration of justice, cause lack of confidence in the administration of justice, or otherwise interfere or corrupt the courts, and there is no reason he should do so now when he's getting ready to leave office. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress has given the federal government 7-day ultimatum to address the ongoing currency crunch and fuel scarcity in parts of the country, or risk a nationwide industrial action at the expiration of the ultimatum. President of the NLC, Mr. Joe Ajero, gave the strike notice after the meeting of the Central Working Committee of the NLC. Mr. Ajero, who bemoaned the hardship faced by Nigerian workers owing to the Naira redesign policy of the federal government and the lingering fuel scarcity in parts of the country, says the union has been pushed to the wall.
The Congress wished to inform the federal government that we will no longer keep quiet to this issue of perennial fuel scarcity and arbitrary increase on petroleum products. The big one, the issue of cash crunch. The NLC is giving the federal government of Nigeria and the agencies of government, including the Central Bank of Nigeria and the other banking institutions, 7 working days to address the issue of the cash crunch. If they fail to do this, at the expiration of the 7 days, Congress is directing all workers in the country to stay at home, because it has become very difficult to even access 1 naira to enter vehicles to your workplace. It is difficult for you even to buy products, especially from traders who don't have banks. We have been frustrated to a level that we can no longer keep quiet.
We're still ahead on the news at 10. Central Bank of Nigeria complies with Supreme Court order on Naira redesign. It says old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes remain legal tender until December 31, 2023. That's on Business News. Please stay with us.
Everything is fast-paced. How do you remain unstoppable?
Babe, I need some money for groceries.
Dad, the cable TV subscription has expired.
What if I told you the key to being unstoppable is now at your fingertips?
Uncle, wait. Uncle, have you forgotten I'm going back to school today? Thank you.
Oga, I beg no forget plumber money.
Oga, we need to buy fuel. Don't let petty transactions limit you. Download the First Money Wallet app or dial *894*1# on any mobile phone and live unstoppable.
Enjoy the unlimited life with First Money Wallet. Dial *894*1# on any mobile phone to activate now. You first. First Bank.
Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband mega offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 Naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 Naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Hey, Charles. It's so hot, Auntie. You'll get used to it.
Yay! What's the big deal? It's just a cereal.
Just a cereal? You are talking about something that has helped thousands of Niger farmers provide for their families for decades. This cereal, we have enjoyed it for so long. It's part of our history.
Is that you?
And it's packed with the energy and nutrition that I know my family needs every day. That's why Golden Morn is so special to us. You get it?
Keep enjoying Nigeria's favorite breakfast cereal fortified with Grain Smart, a special combination of iron and vitamins to help your family make every day golden.
I get it now.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
Why do we do it? Hide, cover up, tone down. Choose boldness. Celebrate the skin you're in And dress with confidence with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion, the triple layered care of deep moisture serum, precious cocoa butter, and vitamin E. Enriches your skin for 48 hours. It's time to show off your best skin. Wear your skin with pride every time with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion.
Welcome back. The Labour Party governorship candidate in Delta State, Mr. Pella Kennedy, is asking the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to ensure that polling unit results are transmitted in real time on Saturday when the elections take place. The candidate, who addressed journalists after a meeting with elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark in Abuja, maintains that the Labour Party will not allow a repeat of the issues with the INEC results viewing portal during the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections. Meanwhile, Chief Clark explains why the Pan-Niger Delta Forum withdrew its support from the PDP in Delta State.
The governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Delta State is leading his party members in the state to this meeting in Abuja with the elder statesman and leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, Chief Edwin Clark.
Over the last 24 years,
the delegation is seeking the support of the forum ahead of Saturday's election in Delta State.
We believe that our people are desperately looking for change. And sir, you have always backed change, good governance yes. And change in Delta over the years. Yes. Now you have been presented with an alternative to what we have always had. And that's why I've come formally to you, sir, to seek your prayers.
Prior to this visit, other governorship candidates had also sought the support of PANDEV in the forthcoming governorship election in the state. However, Chief Edwin Clark explains why he is not supporting the incumbent party in the state.
All the delegates from Delta all voted for Atiku at the primary. How many of them voted for Wiki? None. For Emmanuel of Kwaibom, none. So we took a decision. Any South man who supports Atiku in particular, or another presidential candidate, we will not support him. We would ostracize that person. So when Okowa did it, we said, we are no longer with you. We are no longer with PDP.
The Labour Party candidate also tasked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on the electronic transmission of results from the polling units on Saturday, March 18, 2023.
They actually acted in impunity against the law and did not transmit results like they were supposed to. We won't let that happen again. We are prepared for them this time. They will not get away with it.
INEC will be conducting governorship and state houses of assembly elections in 28 states on Saturday, and many hope that the exercise will provide another opportunity for INEC to correct the shortfalls it recorded during the presidential and National Assembly elections.
The indigents of Ijebu Waterside local government area of Ogun State have been advised not to miss the opportunity of producing the deputy governor for the first time since the creation of the state 47 years ago. A former governor of the state, Senator Ibukula Osun, made this known while addressing a campaign rally for the election of the governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Mr. Olubi Otegbe.
The campaign train of the governorship candidate of ADC in Ogun State is visiting Ijebu Waterside local government area again, about a week after the first visit. Former Governor Ibikunle Amosun, who has endorsed the ADC candidate, is physically present in this second trip to the area. The residents of the area are excited to receive the ADC campaign train as they turn out massively in all the places visited. The leaders take turns to address the gathering. Senator Osun appreciates the people for the warm reception, calling on them not to miss their turn of producing the deputy governor of the state.
Now, this is the turn of Ogun Waterside. Please, let us all come out en masse on Saturday, next week, 18th of March, to cast our vote. You know the logo, the symbol of the party. When you see two people shaking hands, please ensure that you make sure that you just don't complain. Okay? By the grace of God, we are still going to come back here to come and rejoice with you, to come and celebrate with you.
Barrister Otegbeye expresses confidence in the electorates in voting for the ADC in the governorship and House of Assembly elections.
They have given us assurance that they are going to support their sons fully, because for the first time, Ogun Waterside is having a deputy governorship candidate. And all the people here, they have all resolved to cast their vote for ADC.
The electorates in Ogun State are now left with the opportunity to use their PVCs to choose the man that will govern them for the next 4 years.
A part of the popular Singa market in Kano State, northwest Nigeria, has experienced a fire outbreak early today. While the fire, which began at 1 a.m., gutted many shops and even destroyed goods worth millions of naira. However, with the help of the fire service, the inferno was able to be contained. Our correspondent Sadiq Ilyasu tells us more.
Just days after a fire disaster at the Rimi market in Kano State, another market, the popular Singa market in Fagge local government area, has suffered the same fate. Traders say the inferno began at about 1 a.m. from a cold room and took over shops within the popular market. In span of 2 weeks here in Kano State, northwest Nigeria, this is the third market to experience this kind of incident. As you can see behind me here, the fire service truck has been here since around 2 a.m. trying to quench the fire. So far, we can say they are successful, but however, the damage has already been done. Shop owners and firemen raced to ensure the rest of the market is not engulfed by the fire.
$1,000 USD, that's the reward of it. Plus other minor items remaining before arrival of this one. Some there are 20 cartons, some 30 cartons, some 15 cartons, some 5 cartons, some that kind of remaining items. I'm expecting if this one come in and mix up and supply to customers. But everything is down completely.
I just off-road 20-feet container before this election. So, but now all of them is gone. Even one, they did not rescue even one bundle.
A team from the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, led by the Executive Secretary, arrives at the scene for an assessment.
This is what we have learned, but we are still investigating what had happened and what is the cause of the fire. But as you can see, we are here to just assess the situation. By tomorrow, we will come with our staff in full force together with the NEMA staff so that we can assess and confirm what causes the accident.
This is the third market to have caught fire in almost 2 weeks in Kano State. On March 1st, about 80 shops were burnt at the popular Kurmi market. 7 days later, 19 shops and a mosque were razed at Rimi market in Kano municipal local government area. The incidents were blamed of runaway fire incidents aided by strong winds. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
A business news is up next with Will Ibong.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Ayotunde. Now, after 10 days, about 10 days since the Supreme Court ruling on the old Naira notes, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes remain a legal tender alongside the redesigned notes until December the 31st this year. In a statement signed by the CBN's Acting Director of Corporate Communications, Issa Abdul-Mumin, the Apex Bank says this is in compliance with the established tradition of obedience to court orders and sustenance of the rule of law. The Apex Bank statement comes a few hours after the presidency said the CBN had no reason not to comply with the court orders. On March the 3rd, the Supreme Court had invalidated the Naira redesign policy introduced by the CBN, citing a defective timing and implementation. The CBN therefore asks all concerned to conform to this directive. Meanwhile, due to the cash scarcity which has hit the country in recent times, citizens have turned more and more to e-payments as means of completing financial transactions. According to latest data from the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, NIBS, e-payment usage had increased by 41.29% since January, with over 901 million users in February against 638 million in January. However, NIBS adds that the value of cashless transactions are falling to 37.67 trillion naira in February, and this represents a 4.83% decrease from the 38.58 trillion naira recorded in January, and this is largely due to failed or delayed transactions. Now, as Nigeria begins countdown to the inauguration of a new democratic government in the next 2 months, expectations are beginning to appear from different sectors of the economy. The Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Segun Ajayi Kadiri, who was a guest on our Business Morning program earlier today, laid emphasis on the urgent need to revive the country's economy. Now, the British financial services company HSBC says it is acquiring the UK subsidiary of Silicon Valley Bank for £1 in a rescue deal as the biggest bank collapse since the financial crash continued to roil markets. In a statement made earlier today, the multinational banking firm says the acquisition makes excellent strategic sense for its business in the UK. The deal, overseen by the Bank of England and the Treasury, comes after SVB's collapse on Friday sparked panic in Britain over its customers in the technology and life science sectors. Now, the equities market carried over Friday's negative performance as the equity cap dropped by about 3 billion naira in today's trading session. Laddie Williams tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the bullish sentiment I saw at intraday wasn't sustained as we have a flat close to start the second full week of March. And if we look at the all-share index, there's 0.01%, 55,788 points. At intraday, we're up about 0.20%, but all that reversed there. Market cap, 30.391 trillion naira. Let's look at the activity chart. We'll see it's less volume than we had on Friday and value, 2.54 billion naira, but deals in the green. More deals today, 4,296 deals. Let's look at the sectoral performance. You see banking there, big drop there, 1.64%, with 5 out of the figures there all losing the share price, and some tier 2 banks there hammering the banking counter there, down 1.64%. But the flip side, consumer goods, that's looking good, up 1.82%, thanks to Boa Foods. They're adding about 4 naira to close of trade today. And it's definitely been a tough first quarter, and a few companies have released their Q1 earnings forecast. Let's see if they're able to whet investor appetite going forward. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Laddie Williams. It's back to you.
Thanks, Laddie. Let's hope investors take the bait. And let's see if other global markets had a much better outing today. And that's it on Business News. It's back to Tunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Many thanks, Will. The battle for Bakhmut is raging and has become a focal point for Russian commanders and Ukrainian forces as they fight for every meter of the city. Well, the capture of the city would bring Russia slightly closer to its goal of controlling the Donetsk region, one of 4 regions in eastern and southern Ukraine annexed by Russia last year, September. Here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukraine and Russia have reported inflicting heavy losses as the battle for Bakhmut rages on. President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian forces had suffered more than 1,100 deaths in the past few days, with many more seriously injured. Meanwhile, Russia said it had killed more than 220 Ukrainian service members over the past 24 hours. Moscow has been trying to take the eastern Ukrainian city for months in a grinding war of attrition. US authorities have taken emergency measures to shore up the banking system after Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank collapsed.
Today, thanks to the quick action of my administration over the past few days, Americans can have confidence.
US President Joe Biden said the US banking system was safe and promised to hold those responsible fully accountable. It's after the government said people and businesses who have money deposited with SVB would be able to access all their cash from Monday. Wall Street's main indices opened lower on Monday as bank stocks tumbled. The UK's Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt said the rescue of SVB's UK arm by the bank HSBC was necessary to help protect some of Britain's most important technology companies.
We have built, over the last decade, the 3rd largest tech economy in the world, after only China and the United States. So it's very important to us as a country that this sector thrives. And that's why the Prime Minister, the Bank of England, were all rolling our sleeves up over the weekend to make sure we had a solution.
Gabonese authorities have continued the search for 31 people still missing after a ferry sank last week in the coastal area, killing 6 people. The Esther Miracle ferry, operated by Royal Coast Marine and carrying 161 passengers, was sailing from Libreville to Port Gentil when it sank off a coastal village, Nyoni. The Air Force had been conducting daily search operations in order to find the missing people since the ferry sank. Police in Malawi say at least 11 people have died and 16 others are missing as a result of the destruction caused by Tropical Storm Freddy. With communication links cut, the full extent of the damage and the number of casualties is still not clear. Freddy is one of the strongest storms ever recorded in the southern hemisphere and has caused weeks of persistent rainfall in Mozambique and Malawi. Initial assessments by humanitarian agencies working in Mozambique say there's been extensive damage to private homes and infrastructure in more than half of the country's provinces. Rubbish continues to pile up in the streets of Paris as rolling strikes against pension reform goes on, with President Emmanuel Macron refusing to meet with unions and pushing that the bill must go ahead. Nearly every street of Paris was impacted by the strike against government plans to raise the retirement age to 64, with bins in some places blocking pavements. According to the Paris City Hall, on the 7th day of the garbage collectors' strike against pension reform, 5,400 tons of waste remained uncollected in the streets of the capital. As of Monday, rubbish collecting unions had set no date for a resumption of services. The Suez Canal has recorded its highest daily transit rate since it came into operation in 1869. The Canal Authority said 107 ships passed through it in a day, carrying 6.3 million tons of goods. The authorities attribute the increased transit rates to an expansion project completed in 2016. In March 2021, the Suez Canal was blocked for 6 days by the Ever Given, a container ship that had run aground in the canal. And 60 elephants have enjoyed a feast of fruits and vegetables at the Botanical Park in Chonburi to celebrate National Elephant Day in Thailand. 3 tons of tropical fruits and vegetables were laid out on an 8-meter table to treat the elephants. Thai people have a tight-knit relationship with elephants since ancient times, when elephants played a significant role in transportation. The gardens used the day to advocate for keeping domesticated elephants in proper and safe conditions. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Well, Victor Matthias is already standing by to give us the very latest on sports news. Victor.
That's right, AY. Welcome to Sports News. Now, Nigerian Table Tennis Federation has listed 15 players for the month's Paris 2024 Paralympics qualifying tournament in Ottawa, Italy. The qualifying tournament will hold from March the 15th to the 25th. Prominent faces in the team are Commonwealth Game medalists Hamid Koleosho, Tajuddin Agunbiade, Femi Alabi, Christiana Ikoyi, Esau Ogunkule, Kate Okuta and Faith Obazwaye. It is the first time the tournament for Nigeria on the pathway to 2024 Paralympics, where the country is seeking to have as many as possible athletes competing for honors in Paris. Nigeria is also expected to host the tournament on the qualification pathway in October, right here in Lagos. In tennis, world #1 Novak Djokovic has been invited to play in an ATP Challenger Tour event in San Remo if he misses the Miami Open. Djokovic is still waiting to hear if he can compete in Miami after missing Indian Wells due to being unvaccinated. It appears unlikely he will return for the Miami Open, which starts next week, as United States entry laws still require international travelers to be vaccinated. Organizers of the San Remo Tennis Club have told the Serbian they will give him a wild card if he is free. Now, Rwanda is preparing to host the FIFA Congress on Thursday. The capital city of Kigali will welcome the 73rd Congress of World Football's governing body. At the Congress, FIFA President Gianni Infantino is set to be re-elected as president for a 3rd term as the only candidate standing. Infantino is the only candidate standing to lead World Football's governing body for what will be his 3rd term. Still talking football, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola admits that his managerial era at the Premier League club will be defined by whether he delivers their first Champions League title in the eyes of the public. However, Guardiola insists he does not agree with that opinion, but understands that most people see it that way. The Spaniard has won 4 Premier League titles, 1 FA Cup and 4 League Cups at City, but European success has eluded the manager who won the trophy twice as Barcelona coach.
To a public opinion. That doesn't mean that we change it. I agree with that, but absolutely will be judged for that competition. Yeah, definitely. Because since day one arrived here in the first game in Champions League, they asked me when just arrived, landed here, sitting for the first time, you are here to win the Champions League. I said, what? So I was manager for Real Madrid, that this is not going to happen, but I could understand, but here, I don't know, but I accept it. So as much you go through, it's not going to change.
Well, we have to wait and see if the Golden Goose will indeed lay that golden egg. But in Serie A, Giants Inter Milan are set to take on FC Porto in a game which decides which team will advance to the next stage of the Champions League. The 3-time champions travel to Portugal with a 1-goal advantage from the first leg fixture, in which Romelu Lukaku scored the only goal. Simone Inzaghi's side will be hoping to reach the quarterfinals of the competition for the first time since 2011. That's a wrap on Sports News. It's back to Ayotunde with the wrap of the news at 10. Thank you for watching. I'm Victor Matthias.
Many thanks, Victor. And the main news again. The chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, told the legal team of the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, today that the commission had nothing to hide as both sides discussed modalities for the inspection of election materials. Also today, we told you the Central Bank of Nigeria announced that the 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes remain legal tender till December the 31st this year, in line with the Supreme Court's ruling of March the 3rd. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Good night and stay safe.